False Prophet Muhammad. Step to the table. Because when examining your teachings and the fruit of the philosophy you built on this earth, this is the fruit of your teachings right here. Let's listen. Let's hear. And let's talk about it.
Where does that historical information come from if not hadith?
I was going to touch a bit differently because I do believe in the hadith, and I do believe that Aisha radiallahu anha, the marriage was contracted at 6 and consummated at 9. However, if you believe the narration where she herself attests to it taking place, the contract at 6, or the equivalent for you would be betrothal at 6 and consummation at 9, then we should also remain consistent, because we have a hadith where Aisha radiallahu anha explicitly states not only that when she hit the age of 9 she became a woman, but the people around her, when they hit the age of 9, they would become women as well. So she's attesting to historically in her land that girls would become women at the age of 9.
This is what you brought to the earth, Muhammad. That it is your opinion from that you allegedly ascribe to divine revelation that women become women at age 9. There's gonna be a lot of sad people on Judgment Day. I feel sorry for that woman. Tragic. And just as it states here, if you pause to read it before we watch that, Muslim debater argued that since Aisha allegedly stated that she was a woman at 9, this is true. By her logic, if a 9-year-old says he is Spider-Man, that is true. If a community deemed 9-year-old females to be women, then it's backwards evil community. And so the first commenter is about allegedly some Christian name, doesn't say his name. Oh my goodness, Abdul Zarazek, yeah, something like that. Hours of Crucifixion. Okay, so apparently, like, I would not look at the comments, but look into this guy, guys. Apparently we gotta support a brother. He is being persecuted for his faith, as it says, and unfortunately, yes, just another reminder, people want to have this sort of religious liberty until it's with Jesus Christ. And unfortunately, yes, this person is apparently on death's door. Tragic. There are still Christian martyrs to this day, and I do think it's unfortunate. Well, I'll give it a repost. Give me 1 second. Now then, let's see what else somebody says about the content we're looking at. And Cora was being sneaky about it because the hadith has no chain. When a girl reaches 9 years, she's a woman, appears in, this after that number, but cites it without an aside. It is not connected to a full chain. So apparently, like, even the way she's applying that is weird, and it's still weird. Let's see, great argument. According to your statement, if a 9-year-old says he's Spider-Man, that's true, shouldn't be taken as fact. Then the same should be said about Aisha herself attesting the whole marriage at 6 and the consummation. Oh, do you know that that's the only source of marriage having placed at 6? Okay, so this is apparently a Muslim defending this, and I do find it fascinating that their scholars say essentially like what is attested about her age more so than their community. But let's see, somebody's also putting this clown here. It says girls back then got married at 9. Clown, a prophetic lie to defend your prophet. So we got a mix of people. We got actually people defending Christianity, saying W Jesus. Okay, let me see. Being the truth versus the lie. We got some people mocking Muhammad. We got, let's just say, like, majority of this what in the world? Top 3 things not to mention when defending Muhammad's child diddling. One never mentioned what he did to her between those 9 to 6 years. 2, don't mention what Muslim men are commanded to emulate him in everything. 3, never discuss Aisha's well-documented infertility, and most cause when the world somebody searches up on Grok. Yes, documented cases exist. Severe. Oh wow. Okay. And so this is the fruit of, well, that man's writing. people defending young ages, and well, that's a bit of a down statement, right? Young is, maybe some high schoolers doing the devil's tango before marriage. That's a bit young, it's like little 17-year-olds. But this is the taboo no-go zone. And I think it's just tragic that people still defend that man, because the Bible calls him out. You see, it calls him out on every front you could think of. His legitimacy as a prophet, Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 20. However, the prophet that behaves presumptuously by speaking a word in my name that I have not commanded him to speak, and who speaks in the name of other gods, then that prophet shall die. It's very clear that there was an agenda that God had when it comes to the idea of people being named with himself. You have to have the accurate history, the accurate documentation, the accurate inheritance, if you will. And I think it's very clear that when it comes to Deuteronomy, like Moses setting down foundational things, declaring that Yahweh, the divine name, so the name of God, something that he says is his name forever, will not be lost. I'll make that clear. So if anyone says his name is something else, then Yahweh, or the divine name, the Tetragrammaton, whose God are you serving? First and foremost. So let's get that straight out the way. Like, there's many things according from his name to naturally just him being a father. Put the verses on screen, and of course his familiarity with his people that will not be lost when it comes to a future prophet coming. Right? It's from among their brethren, and so just so much. You have to have the right credentials from the right documentation that is coexisting, and from the documentation that came before it. Naturally, I think it's very clear that the fruit of this man's teachings is evil, and so naturally, what is going to happen to Muhammad? Well, Jesus makes it very clear in Matthew chapter 18, verse 6. So one who came before Muhammad, whoever caused these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him that a large millstone be hung around his neck and he be drowned in the depths of the sea. It's not good to lead the little ones away. Right? Muhammad was very famous for leading people away from Jesus and wanting himself to be the narrative, even though the narrative I was looking at the word manuscripts about to say that. The narrative is about the Messiah and his coming kingdom. So many different verses, so many different prophecies. And even just the most basic things, you notice that it's so strange. Like it's so strange. Now, this verse is actually famous, I think, of a famous historical record of just how 2,000 years ago people weren't so backward that they were marrying children. If anything, Jesus in Mark chapter 5 verse 41 says this: and taking hold of the child's hand, he says to her, Talitha cum, which is translated, little girl, I say to you, get up. Now, how old was this little girl? Let's find out. So that was verse 41. So let's go down there. How old was this girl? And it says in verse 42, immediately the girl stood up and began walking around, for she was 12. 12 years old is a little girl. It is a little girl, according to Jesus, according to the Messiah, the perfect man, sinless. Did Muhammad sin? Of course he did. He was a heathen. Jesus, no sin, perfect, righteous. The truth himself declares that little girls are girls at 12. And so this perspective they have is so backwards. Where did you get this from? That 6 years old makes you marriageable, and 9 years old makes you a woman. No, not in the hands of Jesus Christ. That's not what he brought. That's what the devil brought, and whatever his demons brought with him. I think it's also important that, what does his apostle say about the idea of getting married? Well, in 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 36, which we'll always continue to quote on this channel, it says, but if anyone thinks he's behaving dishonorably concerning his virgin, and so the idea of marriage is that obviously you keep yourselves pure until the marriage ceremony, and then you go on your honeymoon, and then you consecrate the marriage, right? But it says this: if she is past her prime, let's look at this. If his passions are strong, it is not clear in context whether this term refers to a man or woman. So obviously, the various manuscripts on this, like declare sort of definitive like timing of the passions nonetheless. But the point is, when you go to the Greek, it says past her prime, of age, and obviously this presupposes that the way you see things is not so defiled that you that you go against the narrative that, again, Jesus himself is setting some as, okay, there is a before maturity, little girl, 12. There is an after maturity, probably up there in the ages closer to 18. But it makes an important statement here. It is ought to be thus, let him do as he wishes, he does not sin. So meaning, if she is not past her prime of age, this is declared as sin. You can't marry somebody if they're not of age. That came by the hand of Jesus Christ, who was very intimate in being in fellowship with his apostles, which he said he would do so at the end of Matthew chapter 28 verses 19. So what is the whole point of me saying all this? We got to get back to the Bible. We got to get back to the law. Jesus Christ said, I will not destroy the law. Why? Because its purpose was this, restated by Paul toward Timothy in 1 Timothy chapter 1 verses 9 through 11. Knowing this, that the law is not given for a righteous person, but for the lawless and rebellious, for the ungodly, the sinners, for the unholy toward and totally worldly, for the one who kills his father, mother, murders, sexually immoral. I mean, that's right off the bat. This is right where we are, isn't it? Homosexuals, kidnappers, liars, progenitors, and whatever else is opposed to sound teaching according to the glorious gospel of the blessed God that I was entrusted with, aka the Lord Jesus Christ. Meaning, it's very clear that no, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. The perspective you come from is a fraudulent messenger that needs to be corrected by scripture that came 500 years before his emergence into the world. Let that sink in. Something old and ancient by his standards, or like by his timing, is correcting him before he ever makes it. That's tragic. Before he ever gets his upstart as a conqueror, a warmonger. That's sad. That is sad. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think I was waffling for a good 15 minutes? Or do you think, nah, like, how could they think like this? Either way, God help him and pray for him, because this is sad. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Take care.